Great.
Great. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Adegbe Ogbe. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly.
Correct.
I'm Yoruba, but sometimes some names may just be a bit of a challenge for me. Forgive me. And Mr. Jide Ipaye.
No, it's fine. I'm not even Yoruba.
Oh,
nice to meet you, Jide.
Nice to meet you too, Adegbe.
Nice to you.
Okay, so I'm Buki of Tech Leaders Network Africa. We're a small community of business and tech, specifically tech founders who are building and starting up our own companies. Some people in the group have already gone on to start their business. Some people have even raised funds. Some people are gaining traction, but there's a lot of members in the group who are still at the initial stages of trying to get their product into market for them to start to test the product, and then get that all too necessary product market fit. So one of the biggest questions that we get from members and from people generally in tech, if you poll 10 people in tech at any point, 9.5 of them are going to tell you their biggest problem is funding. Funding is always the issue. And there's some type of companies who don't go on to try and, find angel investors or VCs. They're not trying to be a big unicorn or whatever. But definitely every single person needs to get their product to market. So the reason that we decided to have this webinar was, to talk about we've been having a series of these talks to highlight the different ways at which you can fund your business. The first talk that we had was about, just generally raising funds through VCs. So that was a bit of a technical challenge for people understanding the process that, VCs go in putting the funds together and all that. So we decided to take a step back and say, let's look at even just getting enough money to build the product and get to market. So I know that there's some peculiarities with crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is just one of the sources. You have equity build, VCs, angel investors, then we start getting into Series A funding, Series B, Series C, and all that. But, for now, we're taking a step back to look at how can you get the funding for initial traction. So just, doing a bit of a preamble to give some people some time to join the webinar. Okay, I just had to mute somebody there. Okay. So that's the preamble. Tech Leaders Network of Africa, small group, small network of business founders and leaders. But we're going to hear from Adegbe Ogbe today, and we're going to hear from Jide Ipaye. Adegbe Ogbe owns a web app for crowdfunding for different types of projects. That web app is called BlessMi, and it's already launched. It's already in the marketplace, and people are already using it to raise funds. And whilst Mr. Jide Ipaye has several businesses, he's a multidimensional entrepreneur. And I remember many years ago, one of his first businesses, he raised funds for that fashion business, the shoe line through Kickstarter. So we'll hear from Mr. Adegbe first. If you can just introduce your product, introduce yourself, what you do, and we want to ask how your product works and how we might get to benefit from from using the product for raising funds.
Okay, hi, my name is Adegbe. I'm co-founder BlessMi. I'm 47 now, which is weird to say, but I've been sort of working in and out of various projects. Entrepreneurs never rest. Entrepreneurs always have another idea. I've been in and out of various projects since I was 26. My very first project was a directory service, which we developed because we felt at the time Google wasn't so prevalent in Nigeria, and we felt there was an opportunity when they wanted it for businesses, and that company was called One Number. At the time, we sold it for $200,000. We basically, when you look for money within your circle, within, your dad's friends or your uncle this and auntie that. We are now with BlessMi. Like I said, I'm the co-founder. There are two partners. And I would say my partner is more the technical partner. And I'm going to talk about that later when there are more people on. And someone has to sell it. Sometimes that's one person. Sometimes it's 5 people. But someone has to build, someone has to sell. So I say my partner builds and I sell. That's where we are. BlessMi is a fundraising platform. I'm going to want to talk about the difference between crowdfunding and fundraising. all sound the same, but it's a very fine line. They cross each other at times, but it's a very fine line. Particularly in Nigeria, by law now, there's a very strong requirement to own a crowdfunding platform, because there is now a contract between the people who are giving you funds and the final product. Money into your company to start, or your product or your service. So crowdfunding is regulated by the SEC now. Fundraising is still a gray area. So BlessMi is very focused, in fact, I'll say exclusively focused on fundraising for personal needs. We've been able to narrow that down over the last year to medical, educational, and personal needs. We found that that's the core of personal fundraising. And I would say, as we are, 70 to 80% of that is medical. So even in launching the business, from where we started to where we are now, we've learned a lot about personal fundraising. So I also work in hospitality. I've done so for about a decade now, public-facing hospitality, private hospitality. So BlessMi is a project. I also want to talk about the fact that it's easier to be a founder when you don't need the business to work on day one. It's very nice to give all this glossy advice, but if you need the business that you've just founded to feed you, to give you accommodation and keep your life going, then that business is under a lot more pressure. It's not going to survive the introduction phase, the correction phase, going to market. Is going to die early just because it's not returning enough money. So it doesn't stand a chance. So when a founder is a bit older or able to financially look at the business without needing cash, it's much, much easier for that business to survive. So it's very nice to come and give people all this wonderful advice, but it's easier when a tech business doesn't need immediate income when it starts out. So that's me. I'll talk about BlessMi a bit more later. A side note, BlessMi is spelled with an I, and the reason is when we tried to buy the website with the E, it was $82,000. Somebody had parked it. Jide is, I'm sure, quite aware of this as well. Someone had parked the website a long time ago. So BlessMi.com with the E was 82 grand. BlessMi.com with the I was $6. So we took the I, and that's how we got the name. We're 3 years old. We're a year old in the market. So far, we've generated 121 million naira for good causes on our platform. So there we are.
Thank you for that, Adegbe. You know, it's interesting you said about the $86,000. Do you know, well, we all know some people are actually doing that as a business. I'm sure Jide will have something to say about that. Course. Just parking websites to you know, to hold them for, you know, like stocks and shares like to sell many years later. Yeah, that is just so cruel for some of us.
Well, you can always add a letter, remove a letter, you know, it's not one day. I think one day, you know, when we get to where we're going, which during this conversation, I'll explain also our next steps. Of course, if there's a big investor, he's going to want to go back and tell you, we've given you $3 million, go back and buy that site. We don't like the I, and you go back and get it. But it shouldn't stop you from going where you're going.
You're very right. It shouldn't stop you. Yeah, we keep going. Thank you so much for the introduction, Adegbe. I think I'll let Jide introduce himself now before we get back to talking about BlessMi. Talk us through your founder journey.
I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. Interesting background, Adegbe. You know, quite admirable what you've done as an entrepreneur. My name is Jide Ipaye. I would call myself a serial entrepreneur, venture builder, connectologist. And my background comes from my own unique personal challenge. I grew up losing my folks at the age of 11, both of them to a car accident. So I got raised by a community, basically, my uncles, aunties, grandparents. I lived with a lot of people. And so I got influenced by several people. I mean, within my granddad's family alone, his kids, 2 medical doctors, a computer scientist, and an artist. So my career and life has kind of gone along those lines of the people who influenced me. I've gathered about 25 years experience, 5 working with multinationals like Guinness, Total, KPMG, and one of the first Microsoft Gold partners in West Africa called Tranta. And then for the next 20 years, I've been an entrepreneur. I started off in the technology space, pioneering a lot of fiber optic deployments in Nigeria, for the telcos, set up the first fiber optic training school in West Africa, and then went on to solve my personal shoe size challenge. I'm a shoe size 14, which is a European 48. So I struggled finding shoes my size. I see the shoes I like, and I can't get them. The ones I don't like are the ones that are my size. So I had to contend with that. And so in 2015, after I'd worked in the likes of the Guinnesses and Co., and having run a tech company for 10 years, I decided to solve my shoe size problem. Went to the Netherlands, learned how to make my own shoes from scratch. And then, lo and behold, the aspect of raising money, capital to fund that business became a challenge. And so I said to myself, what's the best way to do this without taking friends and family's money in large quantities? And basically, I needed to hedge the risk. So I learned about crowdfunding and decided to go onto a site called Kickstarter, which is a US-based crowdfunding site. Put up the designs of the first set of sneakers that I did in partnership with Lemi Garioku, who is Fela's artist. He did most of the album covers, and we raised $20,000 from pre-orders around the world. And we went on to build our business to 6 figures. And as at 2021, we had done what you call a Reg CF, a regulatory crowdfunding campaign here in the States, and we had surpassed the testing the waters phase. We had raised over $140,000 from what you call testing the waters, which is basically signifying intent to invest in the business. And following that, now I have gone on to set up a venture studio model, which is called Entra, and the goal is to invest in 100 startups over the next 10 years. So that's abridging my journey in a very short form. But I think coming back to why I shared that journey is that a simple idea can be funded with leveraging family, friends, crowd. Once you are able to put together a decent enough, compelling story with proper due diligence, of course, we have the power of our families and our crowd and friends and well-wishers to support whatever we need to be able to execute in that regards. So yeah, so that's my story in a nutshell. I tried to abridge it. I didn't want to bore everybody.
Thank you, Jide. I'm already very intrigued. But you know what? I know your story. I know the whole story because we've been in fashion for how many years? So I'm listening to it, from a different lens, but I'd like to give other people the opportunity also to learn more. So I wasn't going to interrupt you at all. We're still going to come back to you about the process. I think this is a good time to actually pause and tell people that, by the way, I'm also a tech founder. But not just a tech founder. I've been an entrepreneur maybe sort of since I was about 17. I've tried my hand in so many businesses. I started out making jewelry, then I was printing t-shirts, from a very young age, and I was making, quite a bit of money, but the market kept changing. And every time the market changed, I would move on to something else, what I know that people were really after. So some of my latest businesses where I had a food business, but who is to know that having a healthy food business cannot be profitable because people, well, I found out the hard way, nobody really wants to be healthy. They just really talk the talk, but nobody's walking the walk. And then I also had a real estate business. But somehow I think where I am right now, I found my forever love in technology. And it was just by chance because I worked in a bank where I was, head of product marketing for a lot of banking apps, a lot of different apps that the bank was pushing out into the market space. And then when I left there, I realized that, oh, you know what? There's so many products that people need. So not only am I also a tech founder because we built a dating app, amongst other things, that I have an engagement app for people in the diaspora. I'm also now a consultant for several people who don't know how to put the process together. But because I've done multiple projects at a time, I'm that person that can step in, and knows how to put the team together, put the process, and give you timelines. I don't know if anybody here knows how to use Atlassian products and doing sprints, 2-week sprints, and reporting on what new features you're adding. That's me. That's been my life for the past 3 or 4 years. So yeah, you know what? Tech is really interesting. But now we really want to hear from Adegbe. We want to know more. So you've clarified, you've told us that yes, BlessMi is not a crowdfunding platform. It is definitely a fundraising platform. But nevertheless, there are areas that, people generally, as a founder, as a business owner, there's bills you're going to have to pay. There's so many different things. It could even still be medical. that you have, because whilst you're building your business, you are essentially taking money out of essential areas in your life to use to bootstrap the business at the initial stage and to just get it up and running. So there's areas that you're going to have to need funding for, whatever it is. So let's hear from you to, as we've clarified, a fundraising platform. How can we use BlessMi to fundraise for projects?
So again, just to be super clear, I always find it really interesting how people say bootstrapping, like, is this really cute thing to do? But bootstrapping is one of the most painful endeavors you can put a human being through, because you are giving up everything. The origin of the phrase is so painful. Literally, you're pulling up by your boots. It's actually from war. Anyway, bootstrapping is really where everybody needs to start. Again, we're all adults, painting this very heroic scenario of tech. For every tech project you see that's done well, there's 1,000 that's dead. They died, and they died with millions, and they died with hopes. They died with people's savings. They died with investors. So I will say this, before you get to even BlessMi, right? I told you we've noticed that, and it's even a bit of a cause for concern. Kidneys in particular are the greatest single fundraising thing we've seen on the platform. Kidneys, it's just weird. And anything you do, the longer you do it, you learn, right? Cancer is right behind, but kidneys, it's just there. Our single largest fundraiser was 43 million for one person. What does that tell you? Out of 120 something million, one person got 43 million because his network was wide, right? He had cancer of the kidney, which is so complicated, it's hard to explain. And he just had a great network. And his first 30 million was raised in 8 days. In fact, I would say that was what told us that this business will work. I say it's a business because it is a business. We take 5% of every single fund we raise. Now, is that a lot of money? GoFundMe is 3%, but GoFundMe is owned by Stripe. And they gave them $600 million a long time ago so that they could use Stripe as their payment platform and step away from, chasing people for money, right? So just do what you're doing and we'll get back to you. And I'll talk a little bit about GoFundMe so we have clarity. Now back to how can you use, I think what you need to see with crowdfunding, fundraising, the first place to raise money is on your phone. And when I say your phone, someone who knows someone, or someone who's related to someone, or someone who you know on your phone can help you with your business. The challenge is, have you given them a reason to help you with your business? An idea does not equate investment. It's too simple to come to you and say, oh, I want to make hats where I can pour Ribena inside and drink it when I'm walking around. It's cute in your head, but why is someone giving you ₦1 million? Why? And this is where most founders struggle. You're going to have to show sacrifice. Either you've made one, you found someone somewhere, somehow, to give you the money to make 10 and show that you've sold the 10 or sold 4. You have to show me why I'm giving you money. We're often upset with the world and banks and, oh, why won't you support my business? The bank is a business too. Why am I giving you money? It's a myth in our heads. If the bank shows you how many businesses have failed under their watch, you will be in distress. All great ideas, they fail. Jide has been on Kickstarter. Quite a few businesses that raised a lot of money failed to deliver the product. He knows. They just couldn't give you the product at the end of the day. So what I would say is, before you crowdfund, before you want to be like Paystack, before you say, we want to raise $3 million from a VC, try and see what you can do with ₦1 million, 500,000 naira. You really have to do the simplest version of your product that gets you to the market to see how the market reacts. It is better to make mistakes with a smaller sum of money, correct, then go back into the market. But you're coming back to the market with a story, proof of concept, errors made, and sales. You may not have made a profit. You probably have made a profit. So again, it's easy for me to talk about BlessMi because I've been working for 20-something odd years. I've done all sorts. BlessMi pays me a nominal salary of, I think, 15,000 naira a month or something. But we only do that because we know that your company should always pay you, right? We don't have a downloadable app. We looked at the costing, it didn't make sense. We did a web app. From the beginning of BlessMi, we said, I want people to interact with this site maximum 2 minutes. Registration or donation, 2 minutes. Interact with us, support, or do your fundraiser and leave. The rest is up to your network. So to come back and properly answer your question, I think is, before you run into crowdfunding and asking people to give you 100,000 naira and therefore they're buying 1% of your company or 2% of your company, remember, there's a very high chance your business is going to fail. It's not personal. It's not that it's a bad idea. It's just business. The wealthier people are much smaller than the poor people. It's business. It's not personal, right? And it is better to do it. We hear it all the time. Make the mistake small. So for us in BlessMi, for instance, yeah, we spent some of our own personal money because I do other things. Jide knows how this works. You know what? We spent our own money developing the app. I think in total, we spent somewhere around 20 million for version 0.0. And someone says 20 million, why? Because developers cost money. And somebody will ask me, where did you get 20 million? I own 7 hospitality outlets. That's just one thing that I do. We have outlets at the airport. I have a bar and a restaurant in town. I do work with government. We do some cleaning supplies with them. So it's easy for me to come to you and tell you, just go and be brave. No, it's not easy. But the day it's time to do a downloadable app, we will. But if you explain that to a founder, he says, I need an app for iPhone and Android. You don't. It's an additional $7,000 you don't need to spend. And this is a constant error. So I would say first, just to summarize and come back, start on your phone. If you have 300 contacts, start there. Start on your Instagram. Start on your Facebook. The crowd you're looking for is already around you. It's right there with you. You have to prove to those people who know you why they should give you money. And if you can't convince them, you can't convince me. It doesn't matter how nice your setup is. I don't even know you. This person knows you and doesn't want to give you money. There's a problem. So for me, I would say start inside your network. Then if the business is good, you'll get the money. If the business is not good, you're not going to get it. Doesn't matter who you ask. So that's me for now.
I think what you said has just led me to some people that I've met in tech. I remember when I wanted to branch out from just building on my own, I wanted to see who else is building something out there, who needs a co-founder. So I joined the Y Combinator startup school platform and, different organizations. And then I started having the conversations when we start having meetings and people are sending you messages saying, yeah, I want you to be my co-founder. I want you to, join me in partnership with this project. You'll be surprised at the number of people who are out there who are just at idea stage and they want to have a meeting with you to just talk about an idea. An idea is not business, right? So, I mean, I look back at, this was like 2 years ago and I laugh because I see how many meetings and meetings and meetings I attended just for people to say, I have this idea and I want to do it. Nobody is interested in just an idea. If you haven't made that sacrifice to take a project from beginning to at least near end, and try and make even just your first dollar. Let there be a product that you've made even just $1 on, and then people are willing to back you. So it also takes me to what we can use BlessMi for, because you mentioned fundraising for medical, for personal, and for educational. A lot of people could have been using this to raise funds for their japa. I know we use the word japa, but I don't even know what the English word is anymore in Nigeria, to leave Nigeria for your education. But again, going back to idea stage versus execution stage, there were a lot of people that I saw in a lot of, because I'm in marketing, I do a lot of social listening. So I'm in a lot of WhatsApp groups, a lot of Slack groups, people coming online and saying, I want to gain admission into some school. Does anybody know about this university? Oh, I want to jump to Australia. What is it like? And we're like, have you actually applied? Like, go through the process, go to Google, go and do your research, contact several universities, do applications. Then when you're at the point where you've actually gained admission or even paid a deposit, so say you find a degree course that's going to charge you $20,000, at least even come up with maybe $2,000 of your own money or $5,000 of your own money. Then you can start going to your network and saying, hey, here's the link. If you feel like donating something to me, please help out. Please help out. I need, some extra, whatever. Or you could even have paid the whole school fees and then you just need money for the flight. Or there was a girl in the WhatsApp group today that was saying how she's planning to move to Scotland for her education, but she's looking for a cheap way to get to Edinburgh from when she lands in the airport in Heathrow. And I like that everybody was coming together for her to suggest things like call this cab driver, call this person, call that person. But she's already in, she's already in. So try as much as possible to put in your own efforts and everything before you start having conversations looking for the funds. Because if you're going out to go and raise funds and you don't have a steady platform, a steady business, something that's been built, that money is going to be wasted. Anybody who throws free money at something that has not got a structure or a process is just going to be wasted. And thanks for that, Adegbe. We'll come back to it in a bit. Jide, tell us your process. I know it was hard. It was so hard. That process of, because yours was definitely different. It was crowdfunding on Kickstarter. So it wasn't fundraising, it was crowdfunding. You had to give something out for what you were getting. And so let us know something about what that process was for you. How many years ago was that, by the way?
Okay, so that was in 2015. And then just so people are also aware, there are 4 types of crowdfunding. There's equity-based crowdfunding, which is typically called Reg CF here. Regulatory crowdfunding is controlled by the SEC in the US. I don't know what's going on in Nigeria now about that. There's the reward-based crowdfunding, which is your typical Kickstarter, Indiegogo. You've got a product, you're asking people to back up your idea or your project, and then they get a reward through you giving them the product. There's donation-based crowdfunding, which is almost similar to what Adegbe is doing through his platform in terms of you want to get married, you want to go and bungee jump and get married, you want to fix your kidneys, whatever it is you want to do, and you need people to support you, they are donating. So it's almost like a charity-based thing, and GoFundMe fits into that criteria. And then the 4th is peer-to-peer lending or debt-based crowdfunding, in which case people actually fund the project and they expect you to pay back a return on that investment within a fixed period of time. So there are several platforms that offer that. Now, what I did is called the reward-based crowdfunding, which I did on Kickstarter. So originally, what I did was I went to the Netherlands, again, just like what Buki said and what Adegbe said. You need to put in the effort in terms of what you are trying to do. Don't just go to people randomly and say, come and give me money. I took my money because I had a tech company also that I'd run for 10 years. After I resigned from Guinness, I set up a technology company. I took money from it. I paid for a course in the Netherlands. I went to live in Waalwijk, which is a very sleepy town in the Netherlands, close to the Belgian border, Roermond. And I was there for months. And I learned how to make my own sneakers from scratch with my bare hands. I did a video documentary of that whilst I was in the Netherlands, showing that story. And then basically that video I put onto the Kickstarter campaign. I had gone ahead to create samples of the product. I had gone ahead to collaborate with Lemi Garioku and taking Fela Kuti's art and put on the shoes. So I created a Fela Kuti collection. And I'd gone ahead to put together a proper write-up, which till today is still on the Kickstarter page. And at that time, I couldn't even hire a marketing agency. It was very raw. I probably used PowerPoint to even create some of the images that I did. So it was very raw and bootstrapped. I put it up there. And the first challenge was I couldn't even put it up in the first place. So number one, at the time, Nigerians were not allowed to go on Kickstarter. That's number one challenge. And even till today, that is the same case, because if you want to go on Kickstarter, you need an identity to be able to go on there. So it's usually either you're US-based, you're European or whatever. So again, I thought of a workaround. My friend Moyo lives in the UK. He's a British citizen, but he's also a Nigerian. Moyo, please come and support me. I want to do this crowdfunding campaign. I need you to partner with me. So I got Moyo to join me, and we had to use his identity to be able to sign up on Kickstarter. And then, of course, I embarked on the process of sharing that video on my Facebook. I didn't have any marketing budget. It was all my Facebook followers, bulk SMS. I was blasting the whole nation in terms of Nigeria. Everybody come and fund this project. I would come to Sterling Bank, meet with Abu, meet with Yemi, run them through the video. I would be driving around my computer and literally showing people the video of the Netherlands, samples of the products. I was carrying it around physically. Now, I faced a lot of challenges because number one, crowdfunding was very, 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 very unknown to a lot of people. They had no idea what crowdfunding was all about at the time. They thought, it's to invest. It's not to invest per se, it's to support or back the project and expect a return on that support, which is the product. So I needed money to go to the production people, pay them, because I couldn't do it by hand for a large quantity of products. And I also had arts stuff on it. So I had to convince a lot of people to support the project. So a lot of Nigerians were skeptical. They didn't have cards. Those that had cards did not want to put it up on Kickstarter because they thought it was a funny site. So I faced a lot of challenges getting that crowdfunding to go. So I had to do a lot of offline things. So I even had an event in a place called Lamango in Adekunle Fajri. I brought a lot of people together so they could touch it and see the product. Nigerians, who they are, they don't trust people. Where's your shop? Where's your place? So I pulled people together, again, friends and family, inner circle, got them offline to see the product, to understand what I was doing. And only through there that I even had to even handhold some people that, oh yeah, Egbon, please come and use your card on my phone or my computer so that you can help me get on to this Kickstarter campaign. And because Kickstarter has a very high reputation, it's also called, what's that word now? I'm trying to find the right word. So for reward-based crowdfunding, you have the likes of Indiegogo and Kickstarter. On Kickstarter, it's all or nothing. If you set a goal on Kickstarter and you say, I need $20,000, if you raise $19,920, you have failed that project. That money is not going to come to you. Because what happens is, it is all or nothing. If you don't raise your money, then if you don't raise that amount, you're not going to get it. On Indiegogo and the rest, they can give you that option of flexibility. So Kickstarter was very hard. And that basically increased the credibility of the entire project, because for an African to come and do it on Kickstarter, it was still very new. So I went through a lot of that, but following that crowdfunding campaign, it opened up a lot of doors. CNN came, Tony Lumelu, the whole works. Everything that you could think about in terms of media started to pick up on the brand, and the whole world got to know about it. But that process was grueling. And I think fundamentally, the key lesson that I always share with people is feel the pain before you take it away. I'm here in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm in a billionaire's office right now. Literally, he's next door to me, a Nigerian I'm so proud of. He sold his company for $1.2 billion and he built it from scratch. And these are lessons that people can learn. You have to bootstrap and show traction before you even start talking about getting money from anybody. So that was my journey high level in terms of the Kickstarter campaign. It was a very, very difficult process, but it was worth it.
Thank you, Jide. Thank you. Even though I've known you for so many years and we've been in the fashion business, I'm also seeing, different angles to it now. I remember La Manga. I remember in GRA, but you are somebody who has a great network anyway, because you are very amicable, and is it amiable kind of guy that people would love to help. So I must say that is something that you really had going for you. Right. It may not be so easy for some. You had it difficult, but imagine you had it difficult even with your own kind of personality. That's just amazing. There's something else I wanted to touch on, because you mentioned having to use your friend in the UK to register the company because he's a British citizen. Now, before anybody challenges us that, this is out of bounds to Nigerians because they are here in Nigeria, I also want to share part of my personal journey. There's a lot of us in tech now who know that, for a lot of the investors to part with their money, they're requiring the tech companies to start to be registered in Palo Alto. And I applaud some people for refusing to do that, for sticking their guns and staying within Nigerian soil to make sure that all the profit is driven this way. But I own a fashion business that I've had, for so many years. So it got to the point where, because of the way that I want to do business internationally, we're not now selling extensively on different platforms in the UK. I had to register the company in America. So we know the options. Most people register in Wyoming or Delaware because of the tax the tax incentives and you know, how easy or cheap, I won't say cheap, but you know, how the benefits of the filing system annually. There's a Nigerian company here, and more people are starting to see to set up that kind of business. There's a Nigerian company here that does that entire process for people in Delaware and Wyoming. They've built a platform where you can just go click on, you know, what type of company you want to register. They'll do the documents for you. Then even annually, they send you reminders for filing your tax, reminders for, you know, all the different fees and things that you have to pay, and you don't have to step foot in America. So more and more people are doing it. You just get you know, one of the companies in Nigeria who's acting as an agent for a small fee. I mean, they go as far as helping you get, you know, your phone line, and so many other things that are included in the package, particularly opening a US bank account. So that's something I find that as Nigerians, we're so resilient and so entrepreneurial that whilst we are busy building businesses, there's people who are coming up with companies to support us and still also making a profit along the way in, you know, in the service that they're offering us. So that's available to Nigerians here. So Adegbe, back to you. We're not using it to crowdfund. What can you share the step-by-step process? Because there's things that we will need to fundraise for, you know, anyway. And you touched on something, particularly, you know, people are using it for, you know, medical funding. This challenge with kidney and liver, I find is getting more and more prevalent.
Serious.
And I mean, I'll say I suspect I know what the reason is. There's a high rate of misuse of drugs that leads to kidney issues, you know, in Nigeria, but that's a different topic entirely. So in other words, how do they use BlessMi platform?
Okay, so it's pretty much the same with I don't know if Jide will sort of, I think all of us here will get it, you know, once you're sort of past 30. It's crowdfund, it's GoFundMe for Nigeria. It's not, we're not the wheel in Lagos and Ibadan and Enugu. We're not, GoFundMe is only available in 15 countries in the world. And when you say that, people are like, what? But then it's available in the UK and the US. So in our heads, that's the world. 15 countries in the world that allow you to set up a GoFundMe account to raise money. Saying about he couldn't set up an account for himself. It sounds simple, but it's so complicated, which leads you to things like our name, which hopefully will give people a bit more trust in us because you have a single identity with your name. That's a long way down the line, different topic. But my partner and I, so our project, just throw back a bit, a long time ago, we worked with BlackBerry and we launched the very first Nigerian created characters and launched stickers. And at the time you had to buy stickers. It's not like now when it's free on WhatsApp. And we sold each sticker. Even at a 70-30 revenue share, we made $100,000. I don't think we spent $800 creating those things, honestly. But the reason was simple. I have been people who worked with MTN, vast providers, and I saw a little gap. And I said, I talked to my friend at BlackBerry, and she said, you know what? Bring the stickers. It's the same partner I still work with. And one of our late night conversations, I said, you know, raising funds in Nigeria is tricky. And he said, yeah, he's been thinking about it. And his original company name was Pepe. The company was supposed to be called Pepe. And we went around the name. We didn't like the name. And then we events where when you're leaving, the bouncer or the security people say, Baba, bless your boy. Baba, bless me now, bless me. We hear that a lot. Bless me. And that's the origin of the name. So pretty strict KYC. You go to the site, blessmi.com, go to register. We need your BVN. We need a form of government issued ID, and we need a bank account. Your BVN must match your bank account. You can do all of this on your phone. Now, the slightly more complex part for people who've never had to do too many is you need to tell a compelling story. You need to tell a compelling story. You need to put a picture of someone during dialysis. someone who has cancer. But at the point where you need help, shame goes away, right? So you need the images that will compel people to support you. And then you press register. Now, the way we operate till date is we will not automatically upload your fundraiser. Is everything kosher? Does it match? Now, the KYC is for CBN, for the banks. We ride on them. So there's a unique account number for your fundraiser. It's for just you. You get an email saying your fundraiser is live. Please share your fundraising link with everyone. And to come to what Jide said again about what makes fundraising so interesting for people is the gamification. If I donate 10,000 naira to the fund, my name is there and the amount. It means that people are now invested in the process. For the guy who raised 30 million in 8 days, which is still a whole feat, you could see people that we knew, you could see them donating, companies donating. You would go to bed, come back, refresh. He's gained 1 point in helping someone that they knew and was very ill because it got so bad, it broke his ribs. So there was a growth behind his ribs. Yeah, it popped his ribs out. It's pretty serious stuff. So the gamification is great. Of course, the app has other features. If you want to donate anonymously, you can. You can donate with Apple Pay. You can donate with USSD transfer. You can do a direct bank account transfer, which Nigerians are familiar with. So we had to make it for Nigerians, right? And we know now that most people prefer a bank transfer as opposed to their cards. They don't like using their cards, but they don't mind a bank transfer. They're comfortable with it, right? We've learned how it works. Now, we've also made it very easy to use. And the reason why we chose a web app, there's nothing to download. I don't need you. Literally, copy that. We'll send you a receipt. Thank you for your donation to Adegbe. You're done. You're free to go. There's also maybe someone's bachelor's eve, someone's wedding, want to support, someone lost a family member. We can restrict it from the main page and only people. Ultimately, what BlessMi does different is it allows you to track your GTB. I can donate and see how much naira, what 62,000 naira, and we can see who has donated. So that. Secondly, I think what we found was that we were not the only players in the game. As soon as we in the same thing that we do, we didn't know about them. They did. Our job is to get to the top of the mountain, to become the market leader, right? Like I said, medical issues have been at the top of our list. They're quite giving. There's a lot of empathy. A soft estimate of charities, personal is which was done by a small marketing, that they're able to coalesce and look at. I think it's more. Stop people making these, or not stop, these little flyers where it says 565 is my mom's GTB. Feel free to donate here. You can call us here. To take all of that and put it in one place. Not because we want to take your file on this platform to trust that it's going to the person it's intended for. There's been some KYC, and it's just easier to share with a link. When I read your flyer, I have to look at the flyer, remove the account number. No, we've done all that. But we're not by any stretch of the imagination reinventing the wheel. We're just, it doesn't always work, but so far we're good. I would say next steps, we're creating a strong partnership. You mentioned this earlier on, Buki. We're creating a strong partnership with a much larger platform than ours to become their official CSR partner. So God willing, that is something we think we'll be able to launch before the end of the year. We're going through all the processes with them. And at some point, if BlessMi can become the what I would say is the adjective for fundraising in Nigeria, then good luck to us. Maybe, maybe not. We're all entrepreneurs, we know. It's you see it doesn't always get there. It's more than you plan, so you do your best. So I would say, summary of BlessMi, that's where we are. We're going, version 2 should be out next week for testing, and by the end of September, version 2 will be completely live. We started out wanting to be many things to many people, YouTubers, actors, actresses, wanted a different way for people to raise funds, but we've now come down to medical, educational, the scope of what people need on our platform, and now to finesse our product, to monetize giving and to make it easier. You can put giving in a small box. You don't have to be the only person. That's where BlessMi is. And yeah, like I said, you can use us for a bunch of things. We have recurrent fundraisers. We support, there's a school somewhere on the beach in Lagos. They always need school and orphans, and they have a recurrent fundraiser. So it never ends. It just pops up, and a lot of the expat community like them. So they always send them $5,000, $10,000, $100. We've seen a strong surge in foreign payments. It's almost always $100. Very strange. Always $100. And that's another market. If every Nigerian can donate from abroad on their phone to your cause, that's a whole market of donors. So that's where we are.
So it leads me to a question. Is it possible for someone to fundraise for somebody else? Because yes. I see this on Twitter a lot, where sometimes there's a conversation trending about how some friends try to raise funds for someone, but then the person eventually, maybe didn't fully utilize the funds for exactly what they thought that the person needed it for. So what happens if I, for example, registered and you've KYC'd me, but then the funds are for somebody else's issue, right?
Sure.
Is there anything you can do to hedge against them mismanaging those funds, because it's going directly to the thing that we registered on the platform that we need to use the funds for, right? Or is going directly to an account. So what happens if we as a group of friends gather funds for somebody else, and then they don't they're not as transparent as we thought they would be with the funds we've given?
Again, that's so in a sense that fraud is between the donor and the recipient. We did not perpetrate any fraud. However, this is why we want KYC. We want your BVN. We want a form of government ID that matches your BVN. Because we want to be able to say, we verified that you were who you said you were. Now, I'll say this as well. The great danger with fundraising is not false funds. It's actually money laundering. People over and fake this and fake that. On the average, very few people donate. Fundraisers are typically donated to by people who know you. Donating to a cause. Very rarely do people just jump on BlessMi and say, oh, there's a lady who is rare. It's typically fundraising is in a circle of friends and family.
True.
As we get bigger, there will be these incidents. We do, however, we do fundraiser. If at any point there's fraud, where the system is able to freeze the fund where you sent it to us.
Thank you. That's an amazing process that you put in place there. Yeah, that's something that people would need to know to give them confidence in your app. Then let me compare BlessMi to Abeg. Do you remember Abeg app?
I do remember Abeg.
Yeah. So again, it's similar to yours. Your name came about from a phrase that we use on the go, colloquially here in Nigeria. Bless me, or God bless me. Abeg obviously came through that as well, because a lot of people were going on social media to ask for just little amounts of money just to get by. So can somebody essentially start up a BlessMi account? A BlessMi account, open up a BlessMi account just to be giving the links to people on social media to say, help me out, I don't have food to eat?
You can. I doubt. And Abeg was backed with a lot of money. They had Jide, you probably heard this story a lot as well, and you as well, Buki. Sometimes too much money can be bad for a business at the beginning. It will harm you great. They have too much money. I'm not going to talk about my personal opinion of Abeg or the iterations or their offering. I felt at a point they were doing too much. They were trying to be too many things at once. I think that was part of the challenge. Also, a name, as you get older, names are not critical. It's nice to have a nice name, but it won't kill you. That's the truth. What people want is, one, is your offering clear? Two, do you do what you say you're going to do? Is it clear? When I try to use your service the first time, is it quick and easy? The rest will fall in, right? GoFundMe is not even their original name. GoFundMe had a name, something fund, I can't remember right now, but GoFundMe was their second name. But the whole world knows GoFundMe. The single highest fundraiser on GoFundMe was for Floyd, the man who passed away when the police killed him. Globally,
yeah.
$30-something million raised for his daughter, right? At some point in Nigeria, I promise you, we will do a 500 million naira fundraiser for someone or some cause. We are giving. This is the advantage we have in our society. There's just something about us that gives. Even when we don't have, we will support you, right? And it will come the more we do our work. Don't blame anyone. Do your job. Don't worry about it. If you do your job, the market will respond. I want to say, again, we're not the only ones. What we are trying to do different is ease. I don't want you to register. I don't want you to, that's as donors. If I'm giving you money, that should be the easiest thing in the world. Don't make it complicated for me to give you money. Can I get your email? Can I get this? No. First, donate. This man needs $100,000 for his surgery. This lady needs $200,000 for breast cancer. So that's our core focus, ease. Our app is light, it's easy to use, it's easy. That's the core focus of our app. We've removed so many functions just to be smooth. I will add, when people do, I think on Twitter, it's called, what's it called? What do they call it on Twitter when you ask for money?
I call it Bambi a la Twitter. Bambi a la
Twitter. They call it giveaway. Do giveaway.
Do giveaway.
And the whole reason we do giveaway in Nigeria is, look, you've had a successful day or you've had a big win. Share some of that win with us. It's a very Nigerian thing. I don't have a problem with it. You've made 100 million. We saw you were on TV. You've raised 10 billion. Do giveaway. And then people say, drop your account number below and somebody will send you 10K. Nothing wrong with it. In Nigeria, our account numbers are oddly safe in this weird way, but not totally safe. But Americans will be very anxious about giving you their account number on a platform like Twitter. So there's a market for what they're doing. And I think Don Jazzy supported an app that was trying to monetize that. And Abeg was trying to monetize that as well. But a classic example is do you remember Davido did the fundraising when his friends gave him money? He raised about 220 million.
I remember that. Yes.
Perfect. Now, if he had done that, let's say we were ready and we had access, and he had done that on BlessMi, we wouldn't need him to tell us how much he has raised. We would see it.
Mm-hmm.
You would see the top donors. You would see their names on top. Someone sent 10 million. They're pinned to the top.
That's social credibility right there. And
there you go, right?
So it's called the bandwagon effect. When you're doing crowdfunding, once people see that it's happening, then they join in.
And it's live. Exactly. So those are the effects. Like I said, it's not a new invention. The older you get, your concern is not just passion, but profitability. People ask me, what's your passion? And I say profit. My passion is profit.
We're business people.
My dreaming days are not, they're gone. I want to be involved in projects that are profitable so that we can then have time for the projects that are not profitable, or it doesn't matter if they make a profit, and we can have fun with those.
Those are called passion projects. Yes.
Yes, passion projects. But right now, we just want
Thank you.
Profitable projects. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thanks, Adegbe. I think because of time now, we're going to throw it open and ask if people have questions in the audience. Our listeners, are there questions that you have for either Jide, who started his business Keexs by raising funds on Kickstarter many years ago? How many years ago? When was that, Jide? It feels like
2015.
2015, we were young dreamers back then.
Yes.
I bought two pairs of Keexs. They were customized and delivered both for my wife.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. You see?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Very
Legacy
nice. Her
customers
birthday
right
and
here.
nicknames. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
And they were
amazing.
delivered in a box. She loved them. Everything, like the business name, her birthday, my son's name
Nice.
at the time. Yeah, she absolutely loved them.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, well done.
This
Thank
is why
you.
we do business. For me, this is the singular thing why I do business. Whenever I meet my customers out there, sometimes I travel, or sometimes somebody will wear something that, we've made, that my fashion business has made, and they wear it as far as Canada. I've got
Yeah.
pictures from people as far as Canada and Florida, and then maybe they know a family member or know a friend, and they forward a picture, and then that person forwards to me. I'm like, oh my God, my product has traveled the world. That is the
Yep.
singular reason why we're doing this. Well, apart from profits, like you said, we do enjoy it when our customers enjoy our products. Somebody is asking a question here. Please, what is your advice if I want to raise funding for a startup? I think we'll take that quickly. Let me direct that to Jide. Let me direct that, because we're tech founders here. So apart from
Right.
Adegbe being a co-founder of BlessMi and talking about the fundraising app, we three are tech founders. So let's hear from Jide on this
Well,
answer.
the best way to raise money for a tech startup, for a startup, I would say, is lean. We always talk about lean startups. We always talk about bootstrapping. We've used that word extensively here. There are like a million ideas out there every day that people are trying to get money for. And people have started to lose their patience with just investing in ideas. So it's very important. Adegbe said a thing about building out a web app instead of building out a mobile app. And that would have cost him a lot less than what it would have cost to build a mobile app for iOS and then for, the regular Android. So I think the first thing really is not to rush to raise money. Can you build out a simple website? Can you get on Shopify and pay $30 a month to set up a website? Can you build something on WooCommerce? I mean, every time people want money to do something, the question is, how can you do it for cheap? The reason I'm wearing this t-shirt is not because I want to wear a t-shirt. I just came from downstairs and I packed a whole pack of drinks into the car. I'm driving back to Atlanta, Georgia with products. There's a premium product we are trying to get into distribution all across the US. And I'm physically having to carry this myself. All I'm trying to say is, yes, we want to raise money, but we need to start from where we are to show some traction. Very important. When you now show traction, it is easier, much easier for people to trust you with money, because they say, if you had 10,000 naira, what did you do with it? Were you able to show something, a minimum viable product? In tech, we always talk about MVPs, we talk about lean startups. So the first thing is show some traction. From that traction, you'll be able to attract money easier than when you just have a standard idea and then you want people to fund it.
You know what? I want to write on the back of that to share, a personal story, because people hear this all the time, and sometimes they get a bit disappointed when, the founder they're asking is saying, I show some traction, and then they're like, they don't even have money to even start to build. Then maybe you're not yet at the place to start to build. That's one key thing that I need a lot of people to always take away. That if you haven't even gathered enough to just start to create even one thing, right? Then you shouldn't even start the business. I've started many businesses in the past, and one or two which are still sustainable now. I remember when I wanted to leave paid employment, and every single time I used to look at my Excel sheets to see what I'm selling. Back then, when I was working, 2003 thereabouts was when I started one of my first businesses. I used to record everything I was selling inside an Excel sheet. So whilst I'm doing my regular work in the office, I'll open my laptop sometimes and just check how much profit I have, because I wasn't touching the money. And I could see right there in black and white, and sometimes in red, that it's not time to leave paid employment. Sorry, you want to leave paid employment and focus on this job, but sorry, the money says no. The money is telling you that it's not yet time. You understand? So that's one thing, when it's enough, you have to go about doing what you need to do to gather the initial money. Nobody is going to spoon feed you in business. Nobody's going to hold your hand. Nobody's coming to save you. That's one thing that we've learned being, serial founders. But then also there was a founder that shared in the last session that we had that was talking about how he's received angel investment and the business still hasn't grown. And he was, just trying to ask people, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And one of the VCs said something that, you know what, have you thought about it, that there's going to be a point you reach in business, that everybody has to reach in business, that if the business cannot sustain itself, then you really should not have gone into business. If 10 naira cannot be turned into 20 naira and 20 naira be turned into 40 naira and 40 naira be turned into 80 naira, then really there's a point you need to ask yourself some questions that, am I really doing the right thing? I've spoken to some founders who, you'll be surprised, did not even do the numbers before they started building. They didn't, So you need to do the numbers and know whether the business you're even trying to enter into can be profitable. Adegbe wants to say something to that.
Oh, so that's me. I'll jump in before I calculate anything. I mean, as you get older, you don't do that as much, but you have a really good point. There's Abraham here was talking about his business, and I asked him if he wanted to, so we could beat his business up. I like business development. I think it's something I'm good at, as well as marketing. But yeah, don't subsidize your business. But we could have endless classes about the better things to do your business. A lot of businesses are subsidized because of emotions, but when you get to the edge of business, it's not your child. If it's not working, just cut it off. Once you get rid of the first failed business, the rest are easy. I've owned a cycling studio when spinning was interesting. It was called Ride Fit. We had a lot of traction. We had 24-hour, but fitness is not going to make you wealthy in Nigeria. It's not going to. As you get older, Jide, I mean, we're both a bit gray. We don't want to put ourselves in any products or any ventures that's not going to make us rich or have the chance to put us on the path to proper wealth. We're not here, no offense, to do businesses where at the end of the month, we're looking for 110,000 naira. It's not worth it. It's just a waste of time and energy. So I think Abraham is here. It's
Abraham,
good. He wants to talk about a ride share app. All right, Abraham, I have a few ideas for you as well. So if we can talk about this before, let me not take over my madam's house.
I want him to speak. Abraham is writing in the chat box, but it would be great if he wants to speak and explain so that Adegbe can respond to him directly.
Yeah, I've actually got an idea for a ride share app just for Lagos. It won't work anywhere else.
Abraham, you see that? Can you pay me commission fees, please? Should we unmute you? Abraham, are you still there?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, I think
Abraham, we can hear you now. We can hear you.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Abraham.
Good evening, Abraham.
My name is Abraham Jude. Okay, so can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Right. So I'm actually working on a project currently, and really the starting point of the project is actually Lagos. That is the place where we want to start, where we want to commence the project on. Though we have orders, but then we're actually on the development stage. I have a number of 13 persons on the project currently, and they've started the mobile development. I heard one of the moderators saying something about he started with a web application instead of a mobile application because it's cost effective, but I can't.
I think we've lost you, Abraham.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I can't start like a share ride app on a web application. It's basically going to be on a mobile application. Yeah. So though I'm having some AI personnel on the project where how to act uniquely aside what both and other companies are doing. But one of the major challenges I'm facing is, some of these companies like Bolt and Uber, these are multi-billion-dollar companies and organizations that have been in existence for a very, very long time. And people, you still have people coming in and telling you that, you want to start this share ride app. Can't you see that there are other companies out there? What is the
USP that you have? Well, what
I've come across a lot of people. Yeah, so, but then I'll just have to share, since you're giving me the opportunity to share, I'll just share like the idea behind the project. Yeah. So the initial application where you have people coming into Nigeria and maybe they want to tour around Abuja or maybe Lagos. You can just go to our application and then you book a cab, and the cab is going to now take you around like Abuja. So it's more like we are not having the cars. We can actually allow like private users, people who has their cars, and maybe it's something you can be doing as part-time job. So maybe you and we can be using it to generate revenue for you.
Are you trying to blend tourism? Is that what you're trying to do, like a tour guide? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes, more like, yeah. That was the initial.
The network is
came across like this other set of personnels and developers. We now decided to look at transportation. Okay, that was when this share ride app came into like existence. Discover that maybe in Lagos, let me take, since most of someone said, hello, can you hear me? Sorry, my network is bad.
Yes, we can hear you now. You keep going and coming, but we have a sense of what you're talking about.
Okay, so let's assume because I'm in Abuja, so I will just use like some landmarks here in Abuja to make my explanations. So if you are going to, if I'm in Kubwa now and I'm going to maybe Gwarimpa or maybe with our app, like with the app, you can actually share the ride. If the ride from Kubwa to Gwarimpa is 5,000 naira. So when you go into the app, when you go into the app, now when you go into the app, you are going to now indicate if you want to ride alone, if you want to go to Maitama alone.
Okay.
Somebody.
I think
then
since the audio is going in and out, and I think we've kind of gotten the gist, I think we can allow Adegbe to start answering the question. Abraham, is that fine?
Yes, it's fine. It's fine now. It's fine.
Okay. Hi, Abraham. Nice to meet you. So two things very clearly, and please, the first path to success is to remove shame. You have to remove shame. Don't be ashamed of anything you hear here. Don't be ashamed when you're looking for money. Don't be ashamed to fight for your business. So that phrase, remove shame. You have to remove shame, okay? Being here means you're a serious person. You want to learn. So first, remove shame. Now, I'll tell you, you really, really need to work on your pitch. Your pitch is long. You need to be able to sell me your idea in 90 seconds. And you're talking about your developers and you're talking about AI and talking about bots. As an investor, you're confusing me. I'm already gone thinking about my dinner. So you need to shorten your pitch. 90 seconds. You should be able to ask me for money, having explained your idea. Forget asking me for money, explain your idea. Now, to get to your idea, what you are talking about is a functionality in every ride-sharing app in Nigeria. The one in Lagos, the one in Abuja, the one at the airport, Bolt, Uber, every ride-sharing app has the share ride option. You're looking to cut costs, right? So essentially, if I already have a Bolt, I can add your app. And I agree with you, you need a downloadable app. A normal app, a web app will not work for you. However, I'm not going to give you money for this. And I'm telling you this because your unique selling point is insufficient. You're not exciting me, right? There's money in transportation, but you're telling me that your key point is that 3 people can share a ride from A to B. I can do that on Bolt and I can do that on Uber. It's right there. Uber even lets me split the bill. All the functionalities you speak of are already with the giants. You haven't told me why your rideshare app is different. Now I want to come to something else. The reason I thought about rideshare app is that a lot of women, especially in Lagos, have complained about their experience with Uber. They feel unsafe, especially at night. They are often treated badly by the Uber drivers who feel, who's this in quotes, and I say this only because they say this, who is this small girl in the car? Why are you wearing this? Where are you going? They speak to them like their parents. And the women are like, why? I'm going where I'm going. It's not your business. I'm paying my money like everybody else. Would you speak to a man like this? Do you understand? There's a pain point in the female experience with Uber. Secondly, there's a pain point in the quality of cars with Uber. Those are two pain points. I don't know if it's financially viable for anybody to work on that. But if I had a luxury Uber, only luxury, that charged me more, would I take it? I don't know. Because the people who can afford your service may already have a car. But there's a pain point, and I've heard it many times from women, especially women, when they take an Uber. It's supposed to be AC, there's no AC. The man is talking to me anyhow. The man is asking me, why am I doing this? That why did I smoke before I entered this car? And all these things. So I will say this, there's nothing wrong with the ride-sharing app. There's enough space in the market for everybody. But your USP, honestly, it needs work. This tourism thing you're talking about is not the foundation for a brand new business. Either you're a tourism company creating and curating tours for people, or you're a ride-hailing company. If you want to be a tourism company, then partner with Uber. Don't bother yourself with their cars and their costs and their infrastructure. Add yourself to their app. Find a way to show them why they should partner with you. So for me, the USP is inadequate. I love that you want to do all that, but it's a classic case of, even if you go 100 million naira tomorrow, you'll be done in 6 months.
You can't go against
the USP is inadequate.
You don't even have the firepower to go.
You'll be dead in 6 months. Not dead, don't get me wrong. The business will be buried in 6 months. Yeah. If I wanted to do ride hailing now, I would go honestly straight to the luxury market. That takes work. I have to find the people who are willing to put their luxury cars. When I say luxury, semi-luxury, a nice Prado, AC and a driver, willing to pay more. And I wouldn't even do it all day. I would only do it at the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Lekki, Ikoyi, VI. That's where we operate. That's our money. On Monday, we're not working.
Actually,
thank you. Go on.
I want to add something to what Adegbe is saying, because I need Abraham to really understand the point, right? Is that your market is already flooded. But what USP can you offer that they are missing out of, that they're not serving, or they're not serving properly? So the reason he's using the business of the women is because that's a niche of people that have made a complaint that they're not being served properly by these people that have in so far flooded the market. So that's to show you that there's still areas that you can take hold of and take ownership of. So he's just mentioned luxury and he's mentioned weekend, but those are just niches, another niche, another niche, another niche. I have one for you, right? And it's just ideas. I find that there's a lot of people who are working in multinationals who have been told to come off remote work, and they still need to come into the office Monday morning and 8 a.m. and close at 5 p.m. So what I'm seeing them doing is that between themselves, they're carpooling. They're saying, you are the one picking us up on Mondays. This one is the one picking us up on Tuesdays, but they all live in different places. So what if you had a car ride-hailing app, which, is booked for a certain time to a certain time, and it takes up at a certain place every single, or specific locations that people know that they can come out of their houses and come to the junction or come to a specific spot and get your ride-hailing product, a car at that place at that time. But these are just ideas. The thing that I want you to take away from this conversation is that we're all in business to make money. We're in business for profit. I don't know who, I'm in fashion, so I'll use an example from fashion. There was a saying that the supermodels of the 80s and the 90s said that I don't get out of bed for less than $10,000. And it really propelled them to stardom because they had set their price. So the fact of the matter is that how much do you need to sustain your own life, your daily life, and your future? Are you doing a business where you have not calculated how much this can make on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually basis? You need to really, really drill down and know how much you can charge for your product and whether it can be profitable. Don't get into something just for the sake of getting to something. So it's not even because of what Adegbe and I have said that, there's niches there. Even if the most brilliant person has mentioned a niche that has been ignored, if it's not profitable, please do not touch it. Please do not touch it. In product management, there's something that we say, what is it called? TAM Samsung, your total addressable market, your, what's that other addressable market? And then
Service
your core
obtainable market and service, yeah, that's
serviceable,
it.
services, TAM
Service
Samsung or TAM
obtainable,
Sam.
service
Yes.
obtainable market.
So if, for example, you could be the guy that, you know what will just make you comfortable is to have a business that is generating maybe 250,000 naira a month. That's enough for you. Then you can just set up yourself as somebody, the ride-shailing guy for Ikoyi VI Lekki, and everybody knows that you have a fleet of cars that just service only this area, and this is how much you're making monthly. It's a thought,
And can I also just add to that real quick? Again, this is how Uber started. They started with their own rides, their own cars, possibly. Okay, you can even find a way to work with somebody and even just start it. You don't need anything expensive in terms of even the app. You can do something very basic and even test your assumptions first before you start sinking money into this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to find a way to do this creatively. So stop thinking about having to spend a lot of money on an expensive app when you don't even have the market primed yet. So even your
don't they have white label ride hailing? They do.
Yeah, they have so many.
They have white label ride hailing
all
apps.
over the place.
They're already there. Yeah, just plug in, paste that.
Exactly.
Why are you building one?
Yeah.
Interesting. And also, actually, to add to what Jide is saying, when I met with an investor last month that came in from New York, we had coffee and he just, we brainstormed on some ideas. The key point that he left me with is that before you start building a product, go and build the community, go and build the users, go and offer them something that is not even the off-tech version of it. Go and start to be known for the guy that does that off-tech thing. So like me, that I live in an estate in Lagos State, outside of our estate and outside most estates in Lagos State, there's a bunch of car hire guys. Those guys are legendary. They've been at it forever. It's like a long business that they just do forever and ever. So you could be the guy that coordinates those guys to be taking your tourists around if that's what you still want to do. But just there's before
go to the hotel.
money.
Literally,
yeah.
go to the hotels, the Sheratons and the big hotels. There are always those cab drivers all around there. They have the luxury cars there already. Then go and look for one app. Even if you don't even have just a simple website, you sit down behind that website. When they fill out the form or put whatever they want to put, you will respond.
You control it.
Just to start with. I mean, that's the most basic version of even testing out.
I found just on Google, I found a company that can give you your ride hailing app in 5 days. It's white labeled. They'll do it for you in 5 days. You don't have to build, and don't get into this complicated AI and bots. It all sounds so lovely. We're working with AI and, listen, real money is on the floor. It's actually on the floor. It's sometimes the most basic nonsense. I've made so much money in hospitality, and people say, you're selling drinks and food. I say, no, I'm selling escape. Hospitality is escape. When I go to a restaurant, it means I don't have to cook. When I ask a waiter to bring my drink, I don't have to get it myself, right? When I go and swim, it means I don't need to own the pool. I don't need to fetch water. I'm just enjoying your pool. I'm escaping from whatever my reality is to be here. That's what you're selling. So you need to sell convenience, and you need to do it without hurting yourself. And when I had 13 people, I was a bit anxious in the beginning. Why are you working with so many people? And immediately my alarm bells were ringing. Why? You and two people should deploy this. Then go around all the trips
in the product.
Yes.
He's getting caught up in the product and not on the market or the customer. Focus on the customer first. Make your first sets of money before you even start building anything. Keep it simple.
Feels like Dragons Den. We're like wicked dragons.
But honestly, you are getting some serious gold nuggets right now. Trust me.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Adegbe and Jide.
No worries. You're welcome.
Aside from Abraham, is there any other pressing concern for business? Any other person that has any question? We're open to listening to Obi, Buluwatife, Adiola, CEO, anybody else here? And And if not, we can feel free to round up the session. Okay.
Yeah.
Oluwatife has a question. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this. Like, it's actually amazing. Thank you very much. So my question is, I don't know more like a question, but I am at this stage, right, whereby a week ago, I think some days ago, a micro VC messaged me and was talking about my company like that. And the stage where I am now is okay, trying to balance for early startups, right? Is any legal concern something you should really dive into, you should bother yourself about? Like, okay, legalities on how investors come in and all that stuff. Okay, knowing how, because like my company is actually registered in Nigeria and these guys are from the US. So is it something you should really buttress into, or you should just, okay, let's just go with it and we find out on the way?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Adegbe or Jide, did you understand?
I don't know, but legal stuff, anything that involves money and other people coming, you must have a lawyer. You must have a lawyer. Not just
if you can get 2 lawyers, it must be
just
serious.
a lawyer, but a lawyer that is in that field of
Space.
what you're trying to do, that understands all the possible mistakes or risks that you need to deal with ahead. So you need somebody who has been there and can help you deal with it now before it gets there.
100% agree. The legal side is something that people often brush over. And I always say, these as business people, whatever, it's a bit local. I always say share money while it's in the air, because when it reaches the floor, that's when you will see people's true colors. As much as possible, let's know 6% is mine. Let me know today. Don't come back later and say, but you said, let me show you a WhatsApp chat. Be firm with your legality. It doesn't matter if the company is worth 1 billion or worth 100 naira. Be very clear. And Jide said it rightly. This is not something that is your specialty. I'm a lawyer, but I don't practice. And every time we get a document, I send it to my lawyer. Let him have a neutral eye. Another reason I'll tell you to get a lawyer is that your lawyer is not emotional about your business. You are. And that emotion always leads us to weird decisions. We'll give up a lot of things because we're in a hurry. There was no need. It means that we're unable to negotiate for ourselves just because we want the company to succeed. But your lawyer doesn't have that constraint. So I would honestly get a lawyer, and like Jide said, get a lawyer that specializes in this type of work.
Okay,
Fantastic.
thank you. But now coming back now to bootstrapping. Now we're actually bootstrapping, right? Literally everything about the company is from personal funds and trying to just see if we could use leverage on some free resources. Now, coming to get a legal personality is now going to involve with either looking for extra cash, right? And I might want to go through the route of my network, but the network is not there yet, right? So it's now putting me in the, okay, is it probably trying to get VC fund, then in that process try to know legalities, or I don't know.
Yeah, you're putting the cart before the horse. If you are talking VC funds, you have gone way ahead. Before you can ever even get to VC, you would have crossed a lot of due diligence financially and legally. Now, one of the things that we need to always tell ourselves is that we need to be careful about where we spend our money and resources at the beginning. Things like legal don't underestimate the power of legal stuff before the problem happens. If you're spending money on other things and you're not prioritizing your legal stuff, and you see people are coming into your business, especially once you are taking money from people or you're about to, you need to have something and you need to invest in that. It's an investment.
And then let me also add to what Jide is saying. Not all lawyers are expensive. There's different types of lawyers. So long as you know that this lawyer is an expert, or at least is very knowledgeable or experienced in this particular type of case. I have some lawyers at the drop of a hat on my WhatsApp that I can share documents with and say, help me read it and break it down to Buki language, because I'm smart but I recognize that, you know what, I'm not that smart. So it's every single, there's just so many different types of lawyers, and you need it. I see people doing this a lot, especially to health and legal is two areas that people take for granted. People will say, okay, it's just backache, but from backache, it turns to spine ache. From spine ache, we never know what next, you understand? You need a lawyer. So if you're going to have to forego some kind of luxuries or some expenses, some personal expenses that you have planned over the next few months, just to put the funds together to get a good lawyer, and remember that it doesn't have to be all those lawyers that have 3 or 4 names in their partner title. Somebody and family and co and co and co. You don't need those type of lawyers. You understand? The person that I've had on retainer for a long time, for 20 years, I've used the same lady for 20 years that she lives in Abuja. I kid you not. It's just basic. She's on retainer. Read this document, file this thing, go to annual returns. We need tax problem, whatever. So you need the kind of lady that I've had, that's got my back for the past 20 years, not anybody and co and brothers and sons and family. Okay.
Okay. Something Jude just said here. He says he needs mentoring like this. I'll just leave, towards the end of the closure. One of the things that I'm doing now is called Entra. Entra is a venture studio. It's called a startup factory. It's called a venture builder, whatever you want to call it. It's an accelerator, an incubator, and also an investment vehicle. So what we are doing is we find people who have great ideas, but rather than go and throw money at it, we do a lean startup. What is the minimum thing we can use to test this? Is it just a simple landing page? How many people can we get to sign up? What traction? I keep talking about traction. What can we do to just take the idea and convert it to something that makes sense before we even start talking about throwing money or doing anything that we want to do? And that's really why I'm here. We're looking for African-based ideas and looking for people here that are able to cross over, in terms of opportunities. Do we have stuff in Africa? We want to bring it to the US. Do we have stuff in the US we want to take to Africa, and vice versa? That way, we can create synergies and opportunities for everybody to benefit. So that's.
Jide, can I share Contra's contact with him?
Yeah, he can send to info@ontracorp.com. I'll drop the email in here. Anybody that has great ideas, but we're starting an idea accelerator. People would have to pay for it, and there's a reason for that. We don't want time wasters, and it's not going to be a lot of money, but the idea is if you pay for something, then you commit.
Okay, so real quick, the last question from Obi. Obi has a question, and let's take that before we close. Obi, or do you want to type what it is?
Hi guys.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Obi.
Yes.
All right. It's been an insightful webinar. I'm basically building a marketplace, and the target market is the movie stores, your retailers, the likes of ShopRite, the likes of
Sorry, you're building a what? We didn't quite hear
Blanco, a marketplace.
Marketplace.
A marketplace.
Okay, we're with you now.
And we're trying to digitize stores, retail, modern trade stores. We've gone the whole 9 yards. We're looking for a situation where whatever the stores lack, we'll get the foremost e-commerce to ameliorate for them, to stand in for them. Take for instance, if I go into a store and I still they don't have logistics, I'll get like a June Express with deliveries and all that. That's the idea behind it. So it's like a Glovo for stores. We finished building it. I'm looking for funding, basically. I need you guys to bless me. How do I go about raising funds to push it to that practical or that executionary stage?
I'm going to let Adegbe speak to this, right? But I need to say something. Adegbe, you're on mute, by the way. We really need to hear you. Obi, please tell me you went and built a tech product without actually building the customer base and the cohort and actually the service, without creating the service first. So you don't have a service, You don't have a network of customers who you could have done this for offline, because we always say our tech products are just tech enablements of our businesses, right? Adegbe's BlessMi could as well be a POS under a tree in Muritala Mohammed Airport, just helping people to collect money and then sending it to someone else. You can do that offline, right? But then he built a tech app for it.
Yes.
So let us know, do you actually have the service and the customers who need this product, or customers you've been doing this for that have come to depend on you before you built the tech app?
So I actually took a case study of a particular store near me, and I got fillers from them. Then I used it to build the products.
Adegbe, over to you, please. Over to you.
Okay, so two things. Let's just do this quickly, because I know you know how it is with these conversations. Tech, whatever. Entrepreneurs can, there's food. We'll be here till night. Two things, and I said this before. Fellow who spoke before you, you need to refine, Abraham. You need to refine your pitch, and I'm saying this with all of the love in my heart. You need to refine your pitch. You're going to tell this story to 100 people before one person says, here's 50K Naira. Before someone says, here's $10,000. Your pitch is still jumbled. Your pitch needs to be smooth. That opening line. Hi, my name is this. I'm doing this thing. But let's leave that aside. Now, I always say it is better to be an ant on an elephant's back. Be an ant on an elephant's back. If you are developing a extra supply chain, near your house, it would have been better for you to build it in their name, white label, so that people are ordering for. You are trying to sit in the middle of 30 stores. It can work, don't get me wrong. It is, where's your marketing budget for this? Because you're going up against everybody else. Whatever you want to supply, most people will call the store, and then the store will tell them, so and so will bring it to you. This is the challenge you're facing. From what your pitch, you said something about if I can't buy something, you ameliorate. I don't know what that part was. However, the pitch is not clear. I have to tell you that. I don't know charging. Are you charging for the delivery? Are you charging for the product? Maybe you can help us a bit more. For instance.
Okay. Am I still on mute? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you, Obi.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. So basically we are putting margins on every touch point. So if you order a product, we get like a rebate or a retained earnings. Then if we are linking it to a particular dispatch provider, we'll also get some margins of that delivery. So that's the monetization plan.
Let's go to the process.
You're muted. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's say I jump on your app, right? Does your app have a name yet?
Yes, it's called Enter Market.
Enter Market. I jump on Enter Market. Now, I'm looking for the one for children, for under 2. And I type peak milk under 2. Deliver it. Is it searching for the supermarket with the best price?
You actually search by store. So I want to buy from a Blanco close to my house. And I will now see the items that Blanco have uploaded on the marketplace. So I'm bringing marketplace to the stores so I have a digital presence.
So you are the digital arm of the supermarket, assuming it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. What happens if the super?
Can you come again? I didn't get that.
What happens if the supermarket
builds
its own app?
You said what happens if
we can have
or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can have them running parallel. I can also be a what do you call it? An active, yeah, that's the word. So you can have yours native and have mine, as long as we're driving leads towards you and generating demand.
I actually
online.
Going with this, it's a reasonable proposition. I will not run from it. I don't know the market for it. It may work well in Lagos. I don't know. If people want to order the ordering
You keep
apps,
breaking up, Adegbe.
you just fill in the basket and in Abuja as well. I don't know. What sort of funding are you looking for? Like how much?
I'm looking at 200,000. So we
How
can
much?
test, do it like a runway for 6 months. $200,000.
You want $200,000 to run the app?
Yes.
So you're looking
6
for
months
200 million
runway.
naira.
Let's see.
That's
That's how bad our naira is now.
Forget about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because if you're getting it, you're getting. I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. The idea makes sense. There is a similar app. I'll see if I can find it and send it to. We could send it to you. Many supermarkets now are building their own stores because it's white label. It's easy. People come in, do it for them, and they pay them and they walk away. Delivery in your market, because you must have researched it, where you're trying to sit in those little cracks where exclusive doesn't have an app or someone doesn't have an app. So essentially, you're a delivery service. Do you own the bikes?
We don't own the bike. So what I've done is that I've been able to have strong ties with Konga. So what the supermarkets do not have, if they don't have a good delivery service, I'll get Konga delivery, Konga logistics, that as they're called, to cover that lap. If they don't have customer service, I'll get Konga customer service to cover that lap. If they don't have, whatever they do not have,
Sounds like
Konga, who is the more.
But my fear for you, the biggest fear is they can sidetrack you and go and do this directly.
Once it starts working, that's my worry.
That's the biggest issue that I have with what you're doing. They have more money than you. They have more resources. They can
I don't see you
done internally and just hire somebody to do it.
I actually get what he wants. Don't know that there's enough money in that crack for you. I don't know that you're doing 1,000 orders a day of items that the supermarket might not have. And then your margin is on a tin of milk, your margin is 75 naira. And then you're taking a margin from the Konga driver who is handling fulfillment. Konga, okay, so that's not your problem. I don't know. I get what you want to do. Your margin is a little slim for me. That's my only concern for now.
I think what I also need to hear is you building an IP into this. Like, what is the intellectual property that you have that the supermarkets can't do for themselves later on when they
barrier
get
to
bigger?
entry is it's low, isn't it? Can't they clone you?
Because even the supermarkets, if they get bigger, can decide to just sidetrack you, and because once they've seen your system and they've seen your process, then they start to do that by themselves. Then Konga themselves can, figure out.
They can talk to Konga directly, or I don't know. That's the fear. The fear is they can circumvent you.
And then, you know what? Let me also be honest. Part of, we glossed over it, but when you did mention the amount that you're looking for, $200,000, let's be honest, it's a lot. It's a lot, and it almost feels like it's an amount that's been pulled out of the air that hasn't been, you haven't really thought. Yeah, that you haven't really thought through where it needs to go to. I've built a lot of businesses, and I don't think that I've ever at any point wanted to raise 200,000 to. I mean, that's something you're looking at to
expand.
Yeah, that's expansion money. That's scale money. That's not growth money.
Yes.
Okay, but that's a whole different
scale money. Yes.
Yeah. So what we leave you with this?
Can you do one supermarket that you've generated 1,000 orders in a month, and then let's see if it's interesting?
That's fine. That's fine.
Do you understand?
I should bring it to market. I should do a proof of concept.
You have to show me numbers. Yeah. You have to show me numbers. You have to show me that it works, because I know They have orders, but primarily people like to walk into a supermarket. They don't mind ordering food since COVID. I'm not saying there's DoorDash in America. DoorDash does very well, but using America as any kind of critical error, there's so many things they do that nobody else in the world does because labor here is so cheap.
Okay, so let me
Dash
just say
exists.
one of the proposals while you want to order on my
Guys,
on my
I have
app.
a hard stop.
Sorry.
I have a
Obi,
hard stop.
Okay,
we're gonna have to run now. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
because, yeah, this session was just meant to be an hour and a half tops, and we've done an hour and 45. But we hope that you've been able to gather some ideas, some feedback from these kind gentlemen that have taken, that have decided to spend their Wednesday evening with us. And I would encourage you to join the next session because we try to have these monthly with different partners and different players on fundraising, different ways you can raise funds, where we get to ask questions. It's what we're giving back to the community, the Tech Leaders Network Africa. We bring people on to have these conversations about funding and growing your startup. So Obi, I hope we'll see you in the next session, but we really have to close this right now.
And then follow up. You can follow up with the
Tech Leaders.
with Tech Leaders, and follow through emails and whatever.
Yeah. If you have a proposal,
I'm in touch with Buki.
Yeah, if you have a proposal, you can share with us. You have our email from the registration. It's open and available to everybody. So anybody who has a proposal, you send to us, and we actually have a lot of investors in our network. So you can choose to ask us to share it with Adegbe, or you want us to circulate it within the network. We're here for you. Okay. So Obi, when you've got things tweaked and fine-tuned, you can share with us. Okay.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Definitely.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So much,
cheers,
guys.
everyone.
It's been a wonderful evening, and hope to see you all again soon. Adegbe, we're so grateful. Thank you for spending your evening.
Thank you so much, Buki.
Jide, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you, and hope to see you guys very soon.
All right. Okay,
Cheers.
guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.